Guys, this is Spook, and today we're doing some melee weapon damage testing. It'll be a similar video to the weapon damage test. We'll do one hit to the head and chest with and without armor. I'll be using the metal armor again. Now the right helmet is designed to block most melee damage, but no one ever really wears it, so we're just going with the commonly worn armor. We'll do it with some clothes on as well, so it's just a hoodie, pants, boots and some gloves. We'll start with the rock and we'll end with the longsword. My friend here, Joe Well, will be doing it once again. He hasn't really matured since the last video, as you can see. And okay, we'll get into it. Okay, before we start, I'll just show you what the defenses are. Okay, with the armor, the melee protection is 42, and without it, it's 17. So the metal armor does give you quite a lot of resistance. Okay, we'll start with the rock to the chest with no armor on. And again. Okay, so that roughly does 7 or 8 damage. And to the head. And again. And again. Okay, so that does between 20 and 22 damage. Okay, now we'll do a rock to the chest with armor on. 7 damage, and again. 7 again, and again. Okay, that done 8 that time. We'll do a headshot now. And again. So that done 19, and again. That done 19. So it only blocks a tiny bit of damage, but it still does block a little bit. Okay, now we'll do the Unlit Torch to the chest with no armor on. Done 2 damage, and again. So, some amount, 5 I think, and again. 4, and again. 5. Okay, and to the head. 5, and again. A little bit more. And again. Okay, to the head's better, but the torch seems really weak, so I just avoid using it altogether. And a torch to the chest with armor on. 4 damage, and again. 4. 4. 3. Okay, and to the head. 6, and again. 10. 2. 3. 2. 3. Okay, it seems like it still has a chance to headshot with the armor on. Still incredibly weak. So we'll try now with the Lit Torch. Okay, now we'll have the Lit Torch to the chest with no armor on. Okay, 13, and again. 6, and again. 14. Okay, we'll just wait until my friend here gets a new torch and we'll carry on. Okay, now we'll have a lit torch to the head. 15, and again. 15. 15. 15. Okay, that's quite a solid number there. Okay, we'll do the same with armor on now. Okay, lit torch to the chest with armor on. 13, 14, and 10, I think. Just heal up while my friend gets another torch. Okay, and finally a lit torch to the head with armor on. 6, 28, and again, and again. Okay, so that can do anywhere between 6 and 28 damage. Could even do more. But the it's quite temperamental, them numbers, so I probably wouldn't advise to use it. And now we have the stone hatchet to the chest with armor off. 15, and again. Oh, and bleeding, and again. Okay, so it does 15 health damage and puts about 12 bleeding onto you, maybe 13. Yeah, that would probably, well, nearly put me on the floor. So I'll just heal up and I'll take one to the head. Okay, and stone hatchet to the head with armor off. 15. 15. Some number, 15. And again. Okay, so I'm assuming you can get a headshot-like hit with this weapon. It's just I don't have enough health to get there. Okay, and we'll try with the armor on. Okay, and the stone hatchet to the chest with armor on. And again. Okay, so it does about 9 damage and, well, half of the bleeding. Okay, I'll just heal up and I'll take one to the head. Yep. 15 and 15% bleeding, and again. See, that was a headshot and it only done 14 damage. And again. Yeah, so it did about 14 damage and 8% bleeding. There's not a big difference between armor on and armor off for this weapon. And we'll try the proper hatchet now. Okay, here we have the hatchet to the chest with no armor on. And again. Okay, so that did 25 damage and 25% bleeding. It does actually do a lot of damage, 3 hits and it'd probably be nearly on the floor. I'll just take one to the head. 20 and 20 and again. Okay, that was a headshot. I think it put 50% bleeding and took 50 health off. So that's quite a strong weapon. Okay, and the hatchet to the chest with armor on. Okay, no bleeding, but 14 damage, and again. Roughly the same damage and no bleeding still, and again. Same, and again. And again. Okay, so the armor takes away the bleeding, which is interesting. I'll just heal up quickly and I'll take one to the head. Okay, into the head with the armor on. Okay, that put a little bit of bleeding on. And again. Okay, that was a headshot. So you still can get headshot with them, which do a lot of damage. But it's interesting that it can take the bleeding away sometimes. Okay, and the stone pickaxe to the chest with no armor on. Roughly the same as the stone hatchet, and again. And again. Yes, it does roughly the same damage as the stone hatchet. I'll just heal up again. And to the head. And again. And again. Okay, so it does about 16% bleeding and 18 damage, which again I think is the same as the stone hatchet. Okay, and the stone hatchet to the chest with armor on. Okay, 12 damage, 12 bleeding, and again. Yeah, roughly the same, and again. And again. Okay, so the armor doesn't stop bleeding for the pickaxe, it seems, but it did for the hatchet. I'll just heal up quick and I'll take one to the head. Okay. Okay, that was a headshot. And again. And again. It seems that this puts more bleeding onto you than the hatchet. But it's rare that you would go into a fight charging with a stone pickaxe anyway, so. Okay, now we'll try with the normal pickaxe. Okay, now we have the normal pickaxe to the chest with armor off. Okay, so that did 29, some amount, 31 damage and 30% bleeding, and again. 30% bleeding and the same damage. I won't do it again because I'll die. So there's a lot of damage. And to the head. 30 damage, 30% bleeding, and again. And again. Okay, that was a headshot. Does roughly 30 damage, 30% bleeding, and a headshot will do a lot more. Okay, and a pickaxe to the chest with armor on. 21% bleeding and 21 damage, and again. And again. Okay, so they're fairly consistent numbers. Roughly 20% bleeding, 20 damage. Maybe a little bit more sometimes. Okay, and pickaxe to the head with armor on. 20 damage, 20 bleeding, and again. Okay, that did 7 damage there, but no bleeding. So the first one was a headshot by the sound. I'll do one more. Okay, that was a headshot. I think it was 17% bleeding and 20% damage. So this helmet does stop quite a lot of it. And now the ice pick to the chest with no armor on. Whoa, okay, that did 31 damage and 31% bleeding. We'll do that again. Okay, slightly less, but it's still done a lot of damage. I'll just heal up and then I'll take one to the head. I'm quite surprised by that actually, because no one really uses them, because these tools used for rocks, they break really quickly. And to the head. Okay, that took half my health off and 50% bleeding. Now that would probably put me on the floor, or near abouts. So that would probably be the ideal thing to hit someone with if they was running at you. And now the Salvaged Icepick to the chest with armor on. Okay, 25% bleeding, 25 damage. And again. It's roughly the same, slightly less bleeding, and again. That was about 17 damage and the same amount of bleeding, 18% I think. We won't do it again because it will kill me. And I'll just heal up again and then I'll take one to the head. Okay, into the head with the Salvaged Icepick. 9 damage, 9 bleeding, and again. Roughly the same, and again. Okay, that was a headshot, and that did about 30 damage, and put around 20% bleeding, I think, onto me. So this weapon, it'd be good to hit them without armor on, because they did a whole heap of damage, especially to the head. Okay, now we'll try the Salvaged Axe. And now the Salvaged Axe to the chest with armor off. Okay, that did the same as the Pickaxe actually, and again. Okay, that was the same. I won't do it again because it will kill me. I'll just heal up. Okay, and the Salvaged Axe to the head with no armor on. 30 damage, 30 bleeding, and again. Same again. And again. Okay, so I'm gonna die. So that's the same as the pickaxe roughly. I'll just heal up and we'll do the armor. Okay, now we'll do the Salvaged Axe to the chest with armor on. 15 damage, 15 bleeding, and again. That was the same, and again. And again. Okay, so that's fairly consistent. 15 damage, 15% bleeding. And now Salvaged Axe to the head with armor on. Okay, that was a headshot. It done 70 damage and 70 bleeding. That's pretty brutal actually. Okay, now we'll do the Salvaged Hammer. A lot of people ask what this is about. I still don't really know. It's not a tool. It's not really a weapon. It's just nothing really. But we'll do that to the chest with armor off. 18 damage and again. 18 again and again. Okay, so that's fairly consistent. 18 damage. I'll do it to the head. That was 20. I'll just heal up a little bit. And we'll do it to the head again. Okay, that was 45 damage. But no bleeding with this weapon. We'll do it again. 45 again. It hits pretty hard, but people would just laugh at you if you ran towards them with that. It looks pretty cool though. Okay, now Salvaged Hammer to the chest with armor on. 14 damage and again. Yeah, I think that was the same. And again. 14 and again. That did 8. Okay, I'll heal up and then we'll take it to the head. Okay. 20 and again. And again. And again. Okay, so that's fairly consistent. We'll try and get a headshot with it, just to see how much. Oh, I'll just do it now. Okay, that took about 40 damage off. Maybe 38. Now I'll do a quick overview of the, well, weapons or tools we just looked at. They're all tools, apart from the torch, which is a illumination object. none of them really do that much damage. The Salvaged Icepick and the Axe do the most. So if it comes down to it, just hit them with that. The Salvaged Hammer surprised me, but quite a few people don't have them. Mind you, a lot of people don't even use the salvage tool, so the next best thing would be the hatchet or pickaxe. Okay, now as you can see, my assistant over there has the wooden spear, so now we'll get on to the weapon side of it. Okay, and wooden spear to the chest with no armor on. 20 damage, 20 bleeding, and again. That was the same, and again. Yeah, roughly the same again, so that's fairly consistent. I'll just heal up. I'll just take the moment to point out how creepy the balaclava looks. He looks like a goldfish, or someone has just resurfaced too quickly after scuba diving, and they've all become inflated. Yeah, let's carry on. Wooden spear to the head. 20 bleeding, 20 damage, and again. Okay, that was a headshot, 40% bleeding. I think it was roughly 50 damage, which was good. Okay, and wooden wooden spear to the chest with armor on. 15 damage, 15 bleeding, and again. Okay, that was roughly the same, and again. Yeah, that's fairly the same as well. So 15 damage, 15 bleeding. And to the head. Okay, that was 40 bleeding and just under 30 damage. Under 40 damage. I'll do it again quickly. That was 10 damage and 20 bleeding, 20% bleeding. We might as well try throw it at my head, just for fun. So do you want to stand back? And throw it at my head. Oh wow, okay. Didn't expect that. If you're accurate enough, just throw it in the head. Now, can you take the spear out of my head? Thank you. Okay, we'll now do the stone spear. And now we'll do the stone spear to the chest with armor off. Okay, 30 damage and 30 bleeding, and again. That was the same. We won't do it again. That's fairly consistent. I'll just heal up. And stone spear to the head with armor off. Okay, so that was 63% bleeding and roughly the same damage. So if you can get them in the head, I'd say go for that. Okay, stone spear to the chest with armor on. 16% bleeding, 16 damage, and again. And again. Okay, yep, they're the same numbers, roughly 15 or 16 damage and 15 to 16% bleeding. And stone spear to the head with armor on. Okay, 53% bleeding, roughly 53 damage. That would put you on the floor for sure. Okay, I'll just heal up and see if you can hit me in the head again. Throw it. Okay, go for it. You was literally one floor away from me. How did you miss? See if I can hit you in the head with it. Go stand up against the wall. Okay, I can't talk. Now we'll try the bone knife to the chest with armor off. Okay, 14 bleeding, 14% damage, and again. Okay, that was the same, and again. Okay, so that's fairly consistent. 14 to 15 damage and 14 to 15% bleeding. I'll just heal up quick, then I'll take one to the head. Okay, to the head with no armor on. 16 bleeding, 16 damage, and again. Okay, that was the same, and again. And again. And again. Okay, so I assume with everything else, headshots are possible. But that was still fairly consistent with those numbers as well. Okay, bone knife to the chest with armor on. 10 bleeding, 10 damage, and again. And again. And again. And again. Yep, so that's pretty straightforward. 10% bleeding, 10% damage. I'll just heal up. And now we'll do a bone knife to the head with armor on. 9 damage, 9 bleeding, and again. Okay, that was a headshot. It took roughly 30 damage off and put 25% bleeding on. It may have been 30% bleeding. I'll just do another one. Yep, it was roughly 30 damage, 30 bleeding. I'm gonna die. Now we'll do the bone club to the chest with no armor on. 11 damage, and again. 11 damage, and again. 10 damage, and again. 12 damage, I think that was. It's interesting because obviously the bone club doesn't have a sharp edge on it, so no bleeding effects have been applied. So the developers have thought about that. And bone club to the head with no armor on. Okay, that did 27 damage, and again. 9 damage, and again. I think that was 9 again, and again. Okay, that was a headshot, which was 27 damage. Again, no bleeding. Okay, bone club to the chest with armor on. 6 damage, and again. That was 9, and again. That was 8, I think, and again. 9, and again. 9 damage, and again. 10 damage. Okay, so it varies between 7 and 10 damage. Okay, and bone club to the head with armor on. 9 damage, and again. Okay, that was a headshot. That done 23 damage, I think, and again. 9, and again. And again. Okay, that was a headshot. That done hardly anything, really. 14 damage, I think, or 16 damage. Okay, now we have the machete, which is one of the newer melee weapons that's been released. I'll take that to the chest with no armor on. 12 damage, 12% bleeding, and again. Okay, that did pretty much double of what the first hit done. And again, that was the same. So it looks like the damage can vary. I'll just heal up and I'll take one to the head. Okay, machete to the head with no armor on. And again. Oh, yeah, that took 80 damage off. Instantly put me on the floor. Okay, now we'll do the machete to the chest with armor on. And again. And again. Okay, so roughly it varies again with the machete. It looks like it can be anywhere from 15 upwards damage, and roughly the same amount of bleeding, which I think was roughly 20% bleeding. Now we'll take a machete to the head with armor on. 15 damage, 15 bleeding. Okay, that was a headshot. That done around 70 damage, and put a whole heap of bleeding on me. I don't think I can heal up in time before I die. Oh, just... that was close. Now we have the Salvaged Sword to the chest with armor off. Whoa, okay, that did 40, just under 40 damage and 39 bleeding. We'll do that again. Okay, so that does heaps of damage. Out of the Mace and the Salvaged Sword, which are the two faster swinging, newest melee weapons, I'd probably go with this one. And I'll just wait till I hit 100, then I'll just take it to the head. Okay, Salvaged Sword to the head with armor off. Okay, even that wasn't a headshot, that still did 45% bleeding and 45% health damage. I'll just heal up quick and see if we can get a headshot and see how much it does. And again. And again. Okay, even we didn't get one, but even with a non-headshot, it still does heaps of damage. Okay, now we have Salvaged Sword to the chest with armor on. Okay, that was 38% bleeding and 38% damage. And again. That was roughly the same. So even with armor on, it still does a lot of damage. Okay, and Salvaged Sword to the head with armor on. Okay, that did only 13 damage, 13% bleeding. And again. And again. Well, I guess that's the end of me. Here's my body. That didn't just put me on the floor, that instantly killed me. It's quite a awesome weapon. Okay, now we'll do the final three weapons, which is the Mace, Salvaged Cleaver, and Longsword. These are, again, the newer melee weapons introduced into the game. They swing a lot slower, but they do a lot more damage. So we'll start with taking the Mace to the chest with no armor on. Okay, that did no bleeding, but 47 damage, and again. Okay, that was the same. So three swings and you'd be on the floor. And Mace to the head with no armor on. 50 damage, and again. 17 damage. That may have hit my body, and again. Okay, that put me on the floor. I'll just get to 100 health again and see if we can get a proper headshot. Now we'll get a headshot with a Mace with no armor on. Okay, that did 87 damage. So it's safe to say that it'd probably put you on the floor, easy. Okay, now we'll do a Mace to the chest with armor on. 30 damage, and again. 36 damage, I can hear gunshots. I'll just heal up, and then I'll take one to the head. Okay, and Mace to the head with armor on. Did 22 damage, and again. Okay, that was a headshot that did 48, I think. It's pretty hard to do math that quickly. Mind you, I never really went to school. But the Mace does hit very hard. It's quite a cool looking thing as well. It's got a big X on it, I'm not sure why. Okay, now we'll do the Salvaged Cleaver to the chest with armor off. Okay, that did 30 damage, 30% bleeding, and again. A little less damage, a little less bleeding, and again. Okay, that did even more, so it's up and down. Can vary. This is a cool looking weapon. It's made with pieces of road sign, it looks like. Tied to a stick. And I'll just get to 100 health. There's my skull from when I died previously. And Salvaged Cleaver to the head with armor off. Okay, it's pretty much an insta-kill. Actually, I actually died as well. Okay, now we'll do Salvaged Cleaver to the chest with armor on. Quite a lot less bleeding and a lot less damage. And again. Okay, it did a little bit more. And again. Okay, so it does deflect quite a lot of the damage actually. Now we'll take one to the head with armor on. Okay, I'll just get to 100 this time. So we can see for sure what it does. Okay, into the head. And again. And again. Okay, so the metal face mask has a good chance of blocking headshots, it seems. I'll just try and we'll try one more time to get a headshot. And try again. And again. And again. Okay, that's a headshot. I think we did 50% bleeding, 50 damage. Okay, now last weapon, which is the Longsword. We'll take that to the chest with no armor on. 33 damage, 33% bleeding, and again. Okay, it wasn't aimed at my head, but it done a whole heap of damage. I'll just get to 100% health again and see what's going on. And to the chest again. Okay, 42% bleeding and 42 damage, and again. Okay, so this weapon can really vary in what it's doing. In my opinion, it's the best looking weapon, because it's a sword. And I'll just get to 100 health, and Take it to the head. Okay, and longsword to the head with no armor on. Okay, that instantly put me down. My friend finds that very funny when that happens for some reason. I think it's because of the way my body drops to the floor. Okay, and longsword to the chest with armor on. 12 bleeding, 12 damage, and again. Okay, that let through 50% bleeding and took 50 health off. And we'll just do longsword to the head to finish it off with armor on. Not yet, not yet. Okay, now. 18% bleeding, 18 damage, and again. Okay, and that put me on the floor again. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so that concludes our melee weapon damage testing. I've just been told by Joel that the last 3 weapons, which was the Mace, the Salvaged Cleaver, and the Longsword, they have different like strike animations. So you'll swing in from the left, in from the right, and then with like a thrusting motion. Now the one where you stab forward, the thrusting motion, does the most damage. So them 3 weapons are really, well, they differate. That's not even a fucking word, is it? Differate. Is it? No. Ah, okay. Well, they do different damage depending on what animation happens. We have someone coming up to the house now called Sneaky Goon, and my other admin Strath. Well, the only piece of advice: just use a gun. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, you know what to do. You still couldn't hit me with that spear, and I'll see you next time.